Hello, Virgo. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. Thank you so much for letting me read for you. If Virgo is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is going to be a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger. And I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I might provide. And remember, Virgo, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And we have an 8 of Pentacles. This is very good Virgo energy. This is the sun in Virgo, right? This is the sort of careful and cautious and patient and analytical side of the Virgo. I think you're somebody who does like to take their time in things. You like to sort of do things the right way. You like to pay attention to the details, but you're not somebody that is so like by the book. You know, when you're cooking something, you don't have to strictly follow the recipe. You know, the 8 of Pentacles is, yes, attention to detail. Yes, it is about being sort of thoughtful and careful, but it's a little bit more connected. You know, it's a little bit more intuitive that you're not going to just sort of read the instructions and say, okay, this is how you bake a cake. That you're going to sort of, you're going to feel your way into it a little bit. You're going to be a little bit more loosey-goosey with the recipe, with the instructions, you know, or you get a plant and say, this is how you take care of a plant. It needs exactly, 8.2 hours of sunlight every day at a certain temperature. And you just kind of say, I'm going to listen to the plant. I'm going to listen to myself. I'm going to listen to the energy of the situation, and I'm going to pay attention to the details. But I'm going to do so in a more organic way, in a more holistic way, in a more connected way. Okay? And I think that's the energy that's really being called out right now. Spirit's saying that you don't need to follow the recipe so much. You don't need to be so strict with something that you are, you're sort of going the Virgo way here. And I think this is very good energy. Let's see where it goes. Let's see where it's taking you. We're going to put this card into a little bit of context. I don't want to forget to start my timer here. Okay. Sometimes these readings get quite long, and I don't mean to make them 30 or 40 minutes long, but sometimes it happens, Anyway, we've got our 8 of Pentacles here. We've got a 4 of Wands. Very interesting now. Wheel of Fortune. We have divine time and earthly time. And we've got my cat at the door to the studio. The door is cracked open. She could come in if she wants, but she likes to just sort of, she thinks we're having she thinks I'm talking to her, which I am. So, just, we won't say anything. We've got a Princess of Pentacles, a 2 of Pentacles, and a 9 of Wands. This is very good energy. Interesting. Now we've got a 4 of Pentacles, fire to earth, energy transforming into matter, right? It's the conversion of energy to matter here, the equivalence of energy to matter, that you're getting something done here, and you're doing it by, I think, trusting in a combination of the recipe itself, right, with the 4 of Wands, and your sort of intuition, your sense of divine timing here. This is really, really nice. We've got the adjustment. See there, now that's sort of the weights and measures of the recipe, right? With that, the adjustment card. There is your Hermit energy, your power card. This is your superpower. This is the Hermit card, rules the sign of Virgo. It's in a weird position in the spread, though. Here we've got that star. It seems like when we're over here doing this work, all right, we'll talk about this, the Hermit is the energy that you don't want. But once we get over here and we realize what's going on, I think once you realize how successful you are then you're sort of coming into your own confidence and saying, yeah, I need that hermit energy. Because that hermit energy is sort of you going off trail. You know, you're sort of going off the beaten path. And you're going off script. You're going off recipe. Yeah, I like it. Let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. It's going to go right here with our little octopus friend, the Eight of Tentacles. We're not going to look at that card until the very end, but it will tie everything together and it will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. Okay. If you have a prediction for that card, put it in the comments down below. Let's exercise our intuition. All right. Let's look around the room here. Major arcana. Major, major, major. You got 4 majors, including your superpower card, including the card of destiny, of fate and karma. Even a lot of fate and karma here, right? This is a prophecy. Right? We've got divine timing. We've got the idea of destiny, right? The divine light itself. We've got the card of karma and the consequences of your actions. And we've got your sort of, your spiritual magical self, right? The image of yourself, the sort of power image that you're stepping into or that I think you will be. We've got fire. We don't have any water right now, that's sort of interesting too. Because I think it's not really a time for you to be sentimental. It's not a time for you to be moved by your emotions about how you feel, but maybe what other people are pulling at your heartstrings, you know. And you have a lot of love in you. Maybe a great lot, right? An abundance of love in you. In other words, I think that you're probably a very sensitive person. And so right now, Spirit's saying the water is here, but we're not focused on it right now. What you need is a little bit of objectivity in the environment. See, in the position of your environment, your relationships, we've got that major arcana, justice or adjustment. In other words, you're going to have to make decisions right now that may not be so easy. And if we start getting overly emotional or sensitive, we may not make the right decisions. Okay? The right decisions being the ones that take you closer to your fate, to your destiny, to your best life, that, basically, not that you're going to be hurting people or inconveniencing other people. Maybe other people will be inconvenienced. It could happen. But I think the adjustment card is really talking about you being objective and using your higher discernment to make decisions, being able to sort of evaluate and weigh the pros and cons and assess the relative value, to make value judgments, not from emotion. Okay? That's what this is all about here. We don't even have any air energy, do we? This is air, and this is air, right? Aquarius and Libra, they're air signs, you know. So we've got a little bit of air energy, and this says that we're not even really being logical or rational. We're using the higher wisdom, higher discernment, those higher faculties, okay, in order to convert our energy to matter, to get something done, to accomplish your will. Okay. We've got a lot of fire and a lot of earth. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4 earth cards. Yeah. 4 earth cards and only 2 fire cards. So it's kind of as if your effort, you're putting in a level 10 effort, right? You're getting back a level 100 reward. So it's major, like really big changes, I think, coming through small, focused, concentrated steps. Yeah. And that's what we see with the 4 of Wands. This is short but powerful bursts of energy. This is sort of breaking your big, huge, unbelievably great goals down into little chunks. It's sort of one step, one win, one accomplishment at a time. When we've got the Eight of Pentacles with our Four of Wands, it's sort of that you have to pay attention to all of the different factors here to know what little moves to make. You know, it's sort of like you're tasting the food as you're going, and you're saying, okay, it needs a little bit more salt, a little bit more pepper, maybe a little cinnamon, right? You're using your creativity. You're sort of, again, I feel like when we're on the path of the dove, it's sort of this feeling that we need to stick to the recipe. Okay? And maybe the Four of Wands is like there's a certain way, there's a certain order of doing things, there's certain steps. You go step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. That's how it works. You want to accomplish something, you've got to go 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how you do it. And so this is you trying to sort of keep yourself on the track. Keep yourself on this page of the recipe, on this set of instructions. You know, if you're building something or you're cooking something or you're trying to improve your life, you're trying to make some moves, you're trying to accomplish something, get something done, you're trying to change your life, you're trying to succeed in life, right? We want this Wheel of Fortune, we want this expansion, this Jupiter energy, this promise of abundance and wealth and fortune and fame, you know. And you think there's a way of doing it. And sometimes this is the Virgo sort of attention to detail, this is the Virgo analysis. Sometimes I feel like you do. You say, there's a certain way that things need to be done, and this is how I'm going to do it. You know, whether it's cleaning something or putting something together, or the way that you have to interact with people, the way that you have to accomplish things. There's the tried and true path, which may be a very wonderful path. Maybe we see the Four of Wands leading us to that Four of Pentacles, right? It's a 1-to-1 ratio, right? 4 to 4, 1 to 1. Of fire to earth, of effort to manifestation, of will to action. Okay? Of energy to matter, the conversion. It's a direct conversion, 1-to-1. Energy to matter. What you put in, you're going to get out equally the benefit. And that's a straightforward, that's a tried and true path. No shortcuts, no cutting corners. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, and that's how we do it. But when we get to the path of the serpent, and when we see the Hermit card here, we realize that this is the card we need. And the Hermit here is going off trail. The Hermit there is kind of saying, look, if I do things differently, I can put in a certain amount of effort, but I can get so much more out of this. There's a better way of doing things. And that, I think, is something that it's gonna really require you to be bold, courageous, confident, not meek, not in the background, not overly sensitive, but saying, I know a better way. It doesn't have to be A, B, C, D, E. No. You know? Because that's what the Hermit does. The Hermit is sort of realizing that I can go a different way. You're perceiving a better way of doing things, more efficient, more productive, more bang for your buck. It is a shortcut. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with shortcuts, right? If you're following these instructions and they seem absurd to you, it seems like, yeah, at the end you're going to build your bookshelf, but why do I have to go through 30 pages of instructions to build the bookshelf? You could, but then I think you're putting in a lot of effort and you're going to get the bookshelf, sure. But is there a better way? The Hermit is the way shower. The Hermit is the one that's going off script, off recipe, right? That sort of says, yeah, I got your instructions. I understand it, yeah, but I'm going to add in my own flavor, And I feel like this is the kind of person you are. Ultimately, when you believe in yourself, you can add your own creative energy, your own intuition, your own strength, your own perception and clarity, your own insight, and you can find a better way to do things. Okay? And I think the Four of Wands really is the idea of sort of going step by step through things in that tried and true way. Down beneath the surface, we've got the Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune is that knowledge, I think. It's really the idea here of, there's human time with the Four of Wands, and then there's divine time. And it's kind of like in human time, yes, you have to let the cake bake for an hour and a half or whatever, right? But divine time is kind of like, we can have it done like this. And maybe there are obviously certain ways that we have to translate that into our lives. Things don't have to happen so linearly. The Wheel of Fortune is all about expansion. I feel like you know that there are greater rewards to be had, but it's not logical that you have to do it 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, right down the line. I mean, maybe that's logical, but we're trying to get out of that, right? You're trying to realize that there's a divine influence at work. There is a magic in the world that we can tap into, and it's sort of like you're folding space and time to transport instantly somewhere rather than having to go, it's the whole faster than light travel kind of thing, that for us to explore outer space, it's going to take millions of years because we can't go that fast. It's just not physically possible, right? We are limited by the laws of space-time. But the Wheel of Fortune is kind of saying, there's something unknown that can be tapped into. That there's the potential for the same amount of effort to result in exponentially greater results, effects, benefits, right? And maybe it's a long shot. Maybe it's the 100 to 1 odds, right? But 100 to 1 is pretty good, right? It'd be a pretty good return if it hits. So this card is sort of about the willingness to gamble a little bit. The willingness to believe that if we put in effort, Spirit will match us with effort. That if we send out the right kind of energy, if we tap into that, whatever it is, that spiritual power, that we are summoning the forces of the whole universe. And it's not going to be just a step-by-step, 1, 2, 3, 4 sort of, incremental gains, And I think that maybe we're talking finances here in a way, especially when we go back to the Princess of Pentacles in this position. Princess of Pentacles is the realization that there's more to it, that there's something else. This sometimes represents the dead of winter. It's barren, it's sterile, there's nothing growing, there's no green here. The trees are bare, right? There's no food out here. There are no animals, it's sort of lifeless, right? Knowing that in this, spring is only a little while away, right? And all the animals will return, all the leaves will grow back on the tree, all the abundance will be there. It's about turning the Princess of Pentacles into the Empress. Okay? Raising her up to the throne, right? And bringing in all of that abundance. And it feels to me like there's a way to sort of magically invoke that, bring that about. It's not necessarily... it doesn't necessarily have to take all these sort of intermediate steps. I feel like it's a shortcut, honestly. Okay. And I think that you realize that there is great potential in this situation. When we look at the Princess of Pentacles, we know that this, we think of the Empress card, right? This really has a lot of potential for just tremendous abundance. And so I think in your life, that's what you're that's what you're in need of. That's what you feel is your fate, is your destiny, is to have that level of abundance, right? To bring that verdant energy back to your life. And whether we're talking, I think it's an abundance of relationships, but I feel like it is more than likely a financial thing. Okay? And the Two of Pentacles at the top of the path of the Dove here is a card of change. I feel like you're somebody that is ready for change. You're ready to do something different. You know that the way things have been going here, while 4-to-4, a 1-to-1 ratio, may have been okay. It's sort of like, yeah, it works, but it's too slow. Right? That you've been patient, you've been doing things the sort of, by the book, you've been doing things according to the recipe. Okay? But now we're sort of ready to start thinking a little bit magically. We're ready to do something different. It's kind of like, doing the same thing over and over and over again. We're getting the same result over and over and over again. Got to do something different. Okay? Two of Pentacles, you're ready for a change. You know that if you want a different outcome or a greater outcome or a faster outcome, you've got to do something different, right? You can't do the same. You can't keep following the recipe. And that's part of our Wheel of Fortune too. We're following the recipe every time. Most of the time, you're going to get the same result. But there's always that little bit of chaos, that factor infinite and unknown, that says, yeah, the cake is going to be the same every time you do it, except one time it's just going to be completely different, either better or worse, right? Even though you follow the exact same recipe. There's no guarantee that, and this is sort of, this is a probability sort of issue. You keep doing the same things over and over and over again. Yeah, eventually the outcome will be different, but there's no predictability there. There's no certainty. There's no way to guarantee which one of these iterations is going to have the anomaly, and you don't know whether that anomaly is going to be positive or negative, beneficial or detrimental. So there goes that idea, right? The only thing that we can do is go off script, go off recipe, and sort of use our own ingenium, use our own creativity and our own intuition to make some changes and do things differently. Of course, that's going to take a 9 of Wands. That's going to take a lot of strength, a lot of courage. But I think that you know this is your path. Okay? I think that this is a prophecy. I think that major changes are going to be happening very fast, very quickly in your life, but you've got to accept the prophecy. It reminds me of like any of the Greek myths, right? Where there is a prophecy and everybody does everything they can to try to stop the prophecy from happening. If I just ignore it, if I just keep doing this, it will never happen. I'll be safe, right? And as much as the kings or whatever try to thwart destiny, try to prevent the prophecy, right? There's some random thing happens, and it brings the prophecy about. You read any of those myths, and that's sort of the way the story goes. No matter our best efforts to prevent, we lock ourselves up in a little room to avoid the destiny, to avoid the prophecy. Something will happen to bring us out of that room and to fulfill the prophecy every time, right? And that, I think, is a intentional device by the old storytellers, to say that there's no escaping who we are. There's no escaping what we're meant to be or what we're meant to do. That we can make choices to try to go a different way, but something will always bring us back to the path. And I think that is you with this Hermit energy bringing you back to your own path. The path that you're trying to stay on is not your path. You know? So there will always be something, and we may always be trying to ignore it, but eventually you will be there. Okay? But the Nine of Wands, I think, is the conscious acceptance of our path. And the realization that, you know, your destiny is going to find you no matter what. So let me just make it easier for destiny. You know, let me fortify myself. Let me have the courage and the confidence to step boldly off trail, off recipe, off script. Okay, and I know it's confusing with the script, and is that the destiny or no? I think that, in essence, we're trying to stay on a particular path, but it's not your path. You're trying to conform to this script or this recipe, but your fate, your destiny, your prophecy is taking you elsewhere. Okay, and we can resist that, or we can say, okay, I'm going to accept that, and I'm going to do the difficult thing, and I'm going to put this recipe down, and I'm going to just sort of try to connect with this life, with this universe, and figure things out. That's going to take us over to the path of the serpent. And as we talk about these cards, I would like to ask for your subscription. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's totally free. It doesn't cost anything. And also subscribe to the Dove and Serpent Bedtime Stories channel. I do 1 or 2 stories a week. It's a nice place to go and relax. So if that's your thing, go sub over there, please. Over here, we have a 4 of Pentacles. The 4 of Pentacles is, I think, you trying to stay in that predictable, comfortable life. This is sort of representative. These two, really, are you staying on script, staying on your path, staying on this recipe, going by the book, staying on whatever you have sort of, tried to contain yourself in. Your destiny is going to find you, And you are, I think, sort of destined to take this Princess of Pentacles and bring it to the level of an Empress. Maybe the mystery card will be that Empress, Sometimes we get comfortable here because this is, again, I like, when I cook, I like following the recipe. It feels safe, It feels like I'm less likely to make a mistake. I'm less likely to suffer, or waste a bunch of ingredients because I messed up. So I like to follow the recipe, measuring everything and paying attention to the details and really trying to be precise. And usually it comes out pretty good. It comes out okay, I guess. But my wife, she does tea leaf readings. She's over at Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My wife, Lenore, she sort of follows the recipe. And you know what? She's a Virgo too, incidentally. She doesn't really follow the recipe. She does. I mean, she'll look at it. She'll know what ingredients she needs and about how much. But then she just sort of feels her way through the process. And her cooking is better than mine every single time. Because my cooking, following the recipe, is subject to those anomalies, that chaos theory that says, even if I follow the recipe exactly, something's not going to be exactly perfect, right? That there's always that sort of unknown factor. And this could be the time where it's either, wow, this was like better than it's ever been, or, ooh, this really tastes bad, because I'm not attached to that chaos. I'm not taking that into account and accepting that and becoming friends with it. My wife, on the other hand, does, She sort of looks at the recipe and stuff, but then she just sort of invites that randomness, invites that creativity, invites that irrational chaos in, becomes friends with it. And then everything she does, every time she does it, is just a little bit better than the last. It doesn't matter which recipe it is or whether she's doing something for the second time. It's always a little bit different. It's always a little bit better than it was. Do you see? So it is kind of like we can stay where it's safe and and it's safe and comfortable, but there's a lot of unknown terrors outside this room. We're locked up in our little house, right? And there's a lot of scary things out there, and I don't want to hear it, you know? I don't want to deal with it. I'm safe in here. But I think the Nine of Wands and the way that you really can bring about, you can hasten your destiny here, is by getting outside of this box, right? Going outside where it's dark and terrible and scary and becoming friends with those monsters, right? Becoming friends with all the energy that's outside of this little room. And to me, that's a very vivid picture. We stay in here where it's safe, but there's all that stuff out there, and it's just trying to just pretend it's not there. Whereas, what if we just go outside and we get comfortable out there, and then we don't have to worry about that? Because this isn't really safety anyway. This isn't really predictability. It may feel like, you know, we've got the predictability, but we really don't. Because we don't know, any moment something's going to knock down our door. Something's going to bust through the window. Something's going to happen with our cake, and it's going to be disgusting this time, you know? But if we embrace that, if we accept that, if we utilize that, if we can master that energy outside there, then we can use it to further our life and to make those shortcuts, to fold space and time and to get to our destiny, you know, faster, to not be like a victim of circumstance or a victim of that chaos factor, but to be the master of it, you know, to be the magician that can use that. Yeah. And so anyway, in our environment, we've got the adjustment card, or justice. And this, on the surface, sort of looks like the weights and measures, right, of someone who's trying to bake something or trying to do something, accomplish something, and we're going to be very calculated. And yeah, this is a card of sort of calculation. But it is, I think, very important that we differentiate the justice card or the adjustment card from what would be maybe some swords cards. We don't have the swords cards. We're not relying on our human calculations. We're not weighing and measuring the ingredients here. We're trusting a higher discernment, that we are able to evaluate things in sort of real time. And it's kind of like you're tasting the food as you go, and you're just making that decision. And does it need more salt or no? We're not checking the recipe and like weighing out a little bit more salt. You know, we're just, yeah, it needs a little bit more. It's real-time evaluation, making value judgments in every situation, every interaction, but we're not using the emotions, and we're not using the rational, logical mind that likes to weigh and measure everything. Okay. And I think that with this card in the environment it shows a little bit of your difficulty too, because I feel that the people around you and life, basically life in general, right, sort of expects us to weigh and measure things. And especially, you know, being a Virgo, where you're supposed to have that attention to detail, you're supposed to be meticulous and analytical. And yeah, but I think those people miss the point, especially when it comes to Virgo. Because you do have an attention to detail. You are analytical, but it's not in the sort of precise, calculated, rational, intellectual, logical way that everybody thinks. It's in an organic way. It's in a way where you can sort of put your hand on the dirt and know what the plants need. You know what I mean? I know it sounds silly, but that's what I feel. And then moving over to the hermit energy, I feel like we realize that we need this. And the hermit is sort of traveling on their own path, following their own light, and knowing that they hold the key to manifestation. That it is the hermit following their own light that is going to lift up the Princess of Pentacles to the throne of the Empress. Okay? It's not by following the script, following the recipe. It's not by staying here in the routine where it's comfortable and, staying sort of boxed in, where we feel that we're safe from the chaos, right? No, this is someone who's embracing that chaos and literally literally going off the trail. This is your power card, right? This is where you really are stepping into your destiny and stepping into the prophecy of you, of who you're meant to be and what you're meant to do. You're ready to change your life. Let's do it. This is the star card at the end. The star card is spiritual insight. It is your fate. It is your destiny. The star card is twofold. First thing the star does, it illuminates what's going on within us, shows you where your blockages are, where your fears, your worries, your concerns are, where your knots of karma are, where your buttons are, right? Where you're trying, it shows you what you are trying to avoid. Yeah. And once we accept that, recognize that, and we're not like trying to argue with that, we can start to look at those things and work on those things. And then phase 2, the light starts to shine out from us. And that really, this is you, hermit, right? The hermit's the one that does that work. And the light then starts to show you your path. See, when we're following the path that's already been cut through the woods, we don't even need our eyes. We could just be blindfolded and just follow the path. It's already there. It's already cut into the ground for us, But when you're going off trail, you need to be open and aware. You need to be awake. You need to have your own light shining. So yeah, in some ways it is a lot easier to stay here because there's no need for higher discernment. There's no need for consciousness. I can be in here. I can be asleep, right? But out there in that hermit energy, out here in the wilderness, you got to be awake. You've got to be enlightened. You've got to have your conscious light shining on that path before you. Let's look at the mystery card. I feel like it's going to be the Empress. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments. I feel like it's going to be the Empress. Let's see. Oh my goodness, the Hermit again. Of course it is. A confirmation here that you're sort of leaving the well-worn, tried and true, established path, and you're going your own way, doing your own thing. Gotta ring the bell again. That you're not conforming to that safe trail through the woods that leads you to the safe little cabin. No, you're going your own way. You've got your own light, and you're going to find your own path. You're going to cut your own path through the jungle here, through the woods. Yeah. And I think it's leading you to better things, right? We've got the Princess of Pentacles. We want the Empress. Are you going to settle for the little cabin in the woods? Are you going to find your own path, the shortcut to the palace itself? Okay, this is kind of settling for a less than full achievement. Settling for less than that which you are truly capable of achieving. You're not going to settle, right? You're not going to just conform and sort of do what everybody else does and accept the goals that everybody else sort of gets, and that's fine, that's it. Maybe you are, I don't know. This is saying that you're going your own way. You're in this group of people in the forest. Everybody says, oh, there's a safe cabin over there. Let's just go over there. Everybody's going to go that way. You're saying, no, I'm going to find my own way. You're resisting the peer pressure. You're resisting that natural sort of human energy to just conform to whatever the group is doing, the mob mentality, right? You're resisting that human instinct to just stay with the pack. Okay? Wonderful energy. We're going to do an extended reading too. If you want to stick around, there's a link up top. There's one down below. New readings for Virgo Tuesdays and Saturdays. Be sure to watch both readings. Be sure to subscribe to Dove and Serpent Bedtime Stories and my wife's channel, Ula Tea Leaf Readings. Leave a comment. Let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you, and we're all in this together.